Chris here, and welcome to my channel. For today's 5 on Friday, I'm bringing you my 5-star prediction wrap-up vlog. So it is May, and I have actually finished 2 of the 5 books I had mentioned in my 5-star predictions. So I thought I should run you through the 2 of them, give you an idea of what they're about, hopefully without my little helper, and let you know what I thought of them. So the first one I finished is The World Famous 9 by Ben Guterson. This book got 4.5 stars. So this follows Xander, who is visiting his grandmother, and she owns the 9, which is an extremely famous skyscraper, has all sorts of shops in it, and there's even a Ferris wheel on the rooftop, monorail track suspended from its ceiling, and 25 glass elevators. But some strange accidents are happening around the 9, and Xander and a new friend, Natasha, that he meets at the 9, find some clues that lead them to believe they can figure out what is going on and maybe stop the accidents from happening. So I really enjoyed this. I love the way Ben Guterson brought the 9 to life and all of the different shops and all of the different people that Xander meets throughout the story. I really liked the riddle aspect of it, because those are the types of things they're finding. Him and Natasha are these kind of riddles that hint to this thing that is going on, that is happening, that is causing these accidents, and the reasoning behind it. I really enjoyed seeing the way Xander and Natasha played off of each other, because they both had very different ways of viewing things, and I think that was good because you needed 2 different approaches to things. I think the puzzle aspect is really cool because there's always a chance that you can figure some stuff out along with the characters. I think that's just such a fun aspect to Ben Guterson's books. This is the first in a series, which, as you know, if you've watched my 5-star prediction video, was not my plan. But that's okay, because I really enjoyed this, and I'm very excited about the prospect of there being a book 2 and getting to know more about the 9 and the mysteries, and seeing what kind of puzzles that Ben and Natasha can solve in future books. So this was another great book and great series start from Ben Guterson. It just didn't quite hit that 5-star mark, but it got really close. Then the other of my 5-star predictions I finished is The Orphan Train, and I gave this 4.25 stars. So this follows 2 POVs. We have Neve, who is a young girl who has been orphaned and is going to end up on the orphan train. And that takes place in the late 1920s. And then we have a 17-year-old named Molly who has to do some community service and ends up cleaning out this old woman named Vivian's attic. And she quickly learns that she and Vivian have a lot more in common than she thought she did. And we kind of jump back and forth between the 2 timelines. I took a bit to get into this, hence the 4.25 stars. But by the end of the story, I was really invested. It just started a bit slow for me. And I was far more interested in Neve's story in the past than I was in what was going on with Molly in the present. So I wasn't as into the present chapters as I was into the historical fiction part of it. I had no idea the orphan trains existed. Basically, these were trains that took orphans from one part of the country to another and hope to find them some sort of home. And these homes weren't always the best places to live, and that is definitely demonstrated throughout this story. I really enjoyed Neve's journey and seeing how she survived the situation she found herself in and where she ultimately ended up, because we see her grow up and become an adult in the past portions of the book. And it was just absolutely fascinating to see that journey. And I mean, also heartbreaking, because she didn't always have the best of situations that she found herself in, which was absolutely true for some of these kids. Some of them got incredibly lucky and did find a good, loving family that was truly just looking for a child to love and nurture and become part of the family. And other ones just wanted, free labor. So it is very interesting to see how that plays out and how we see different instances of that throughout the story. I do like the way that they weaved in Vivian and Molly with the past story. Like I said, I wasn't as invested in the present day story as I was in the past. And we get to the present day story and like, it was fine that it weaved in, but like, I just wanted to find out more about what was happening in the past. So that brought down my rating a little bit. All in all, though, I think this is a very solid historical fiction. I found it quite interesting. And if you're into historical fictions, I would highly recommend you pick this up because it is a really, really good book. It just, like I said, took me a bit to get into, and I was far more invested in one timeline than the other. So those are the first of my 5-star predictions. A 4.5 and a 4.25, which isn't a bad rating by any stretch of the imagination, but neither one of them has quite hit the 5-star mark. Here's hoping that one of the last 3 I'm planning on reading managed to give me that 5-star I'm looking for. So here we are, and I'm finally checking in to wrap this, I guess you could call it vlog up. It's not really a vlog. And as you can see, I have my Christmas tree up because it's December. This year has been just overwhelming and not in the best way, and this vlog took a back seat when it came to priorities when I was filming, but I did want to get it out to you because I had indeed enjoyed 2 of the books I had read at the start of this video, and I wanted to let you know what I thought of the other 3 that I was planning to read for this. So let's start with Irina's War. This was a historical fiction, and I ended up giving it 3.25 stars. I believe it was set during World War II, and I believe I remember not particularly liking Irina and the choices that she was making. That there were some interesting things, I think, because of the location of where it was set and learning about different parts of what was happening in various countries in World War II. I cannot remember off the top of my head where this took place because I was reading the ebook. But I definitely remember not really enjoying Irina's character. I think that's what brought a lot of my rating down, was that I wasn't invested in her story. Otherwise, it is mostly unmemorable and did not stick with me. I don't know that I would recommend it because here we sit 6 months after I read it, because I read it in the end of June. And I don't remember a lot of the details other than just having this vague sense of I didn't really like Irina and just blips of different things that happened, but that I can't really talk about because they would be spoilers. So all in all, it wasn't my favorite book, and I certainly didn't like it as much as the first 2. Then I read The Unforgettable Guinevere St. Clair, and I DNF'd this. I was reading it for, it was definitely for a readathon. Get a Clue, maybe? And I remember I had stacks of books over here, and I was spinning a wheel to determine what I was going to read, or doing like a random number generator or something like that. And this one came up and I was like, oh, perfect. I can read one of my 5-star predictions. And I got just a very short way into it. I was looking in case I had a bookmark in here, but it does not look like that. But I didn't get very far into it before I was like, no, I'm not liking this. And I believe I remember it was because of something with Gwen's interactions with an adult. I think I was reading it on sprints and I hated it. Like, I was like, there's no way I'm going to get through this book. She has a mother who hasn't been able to remember anything after the age of 13 since Gwen was 4. So she has a mom, but her mom doesn't remember being her mom. And then her father is obsessed with solving the mystery of what's going on with her mom's brain. Oh, right. And she's going to investigate a farmer who went missing and believes it's her next door neighbor. And I believe it was the next door neighbor she was interacting with that I didn't like the way all of that came about. I don't remember if it was the way it was written or the interactions between the characters. I just knew very, very quickly this was not going to be a book for me. And I'm really glad I've gotten better about DNFing books that I'm not finding joy in. So this one ended up being DNF'd. And then in the middle of August, I read Counting by Sevens and gave this 3.5 stars. So this follows a young girl named Willow who I believe is extremely smart, like way above average intelligence for her age. I also think she struggles to relate to her peers, although I can't remember if she's neurodivergent, and if so, what kind of neurodivergent. Like if she's got like ADHD or is autistic or has OCD or some combination thereof. And her parents die and it throws her entire life into flux, and we see her trying to deal with the aftermath of that and kind of going about it in a very different way. I remember there is a found family trope in here, and I do like the idea of that. But I also remember not liking some of the choices, not understanding why the adults were making the choices they were around her, not liking the way she was treated. And if memory serves, I thought that the ending of the book was extremely far-fetched. This is another one that did not stick with me. I read it. I had a fine time with it. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad book. It's just not one that left much of an impression, which really bums me out because I've read another book by Holly Goldberg Sloan. Maybe The Elephant in the Room. I think it had something to do with an elephant. And I really, really loved that one. This one, less so. I thought it would at least be helpful to tell you what I do remember about it and how little of an impression it made. I'm like trying to rack my brain for what else was going on. I can, again, remember plot beats, but I can't tell you about those plot beats because those would be spoilers. And it's really hard to talk in non-spoiler terms when the stuff I remember is definitely spoilers. So it was a fine book. I'm not saying don't read it, but I can think of a bunch of other middle grade contemporaries that I would recommend that I enjoyed a lot more and remember a lot more of the details than this one. So all in all, I had 2 books I loved. 1 book I didn't even bother trying to read because I knew I wasn't going to enjoy it. And 2 books that were a bit average, and I had things I liked and things I didn't. Not the best 5-star prediction, but not the worst. I would definitely highly recommend the World Famous 9. I had a really, really good time with this one. I remember a lot about this one. And we're, again, in December. It's been at least 6 months since I read this. And I've read well over 200 books since then. So highly recommend this one. I'm very, very excited to continue with the series. I probably should look up to see when the next book's coming out. And then this one I did enjoy. And I think it is a good historical fiction. Like I said in the previous clip, I enjoyed the past timeline more than the present timeline. But I still thought it was a good book. And I thought it was an interesting read. So I would recommend this one if you're into historical fiction. And this one if you're into middle grade mysteries. So that was my 5-star prediction. Apologies for not getting this out sooner. Like I said, 2024 has been a very overwhelming year, and I'm hoping that 2025 goes better. And my next round of 5-star predictions, I actually get to in a timely manner. But that's going to be all for this video. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me train emojis in honor of the orphan train. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!